Musketeer Hockey with Head Coach Luke Strand. And now here's host Curtis Anderson.
Musketeer Coaches Show is right here on Fox Sports Radio 620 KMNS. So we are starting a couple minutes early, but it's because, we got to get to basketball here coming up. Curtis Anderson with you, along with the head coach of the Sioux City Musketeers, Luke Strand. And then there's this other guy over here. You see him every once in a while. He's smiling right now, but,
I got lost on the way to Albuquerque.
There you go. Sounded like a Bugs Bunny routine on that one. But sometimes I get text messages from this guy every once in a while. He'll have his comments. Lloyd Ney is with us, one of our fine owners of the Musketeers as well. So, but we got a number of things to talk about for this short amount of time. And then things we can't talk about for a short amount of time, and everything else in between about that same time frame. And hashtag. Luke looks the other direction right now.
Too angry.
Yes. It's a frustrating thing, and but. Right now, okay, I'll throw that out there right now, get it out of the way. I ask question, you answer however you guys can answer a question, and I'll leave it at that. Martin Pospisil, there was a disciplinary thing going on because of the incident that took place at Omaha, and a suspension is coming.
Where the fan threw the lighter and hit him in the face with it? That one?
That exact one, when the fan also made a lot of derogatory comments.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because usually, from my perspective as a building guy by profession, usually an athlete has a pretty reasonable expectation that they're going to be safe when they're playing in a game. Now, we have a good rivalry with the folks down there in Omaha, and I'm sure this isn't something that a lot of places plan to have happen. But we're working right now with the league, and we're making sure that, we have some appropriate conversations with Martin, around what's happened here. We wanted to know that we're going to have his back, but that, accountability is an important thing to us.
Part of it, sure.
And, accountability is an important thing for everybody in this, and that's really what we're stressing in our conversations with the league. The league's taking a look at it to see if there's any sort of action that's going to come as a result of it. We expect something, but, our expectation is that ultimately this becomes a learning lesson for the player and doesn't necessarily become punitive to the point to where it loses its desired impact for the player. Because when things like this happen, the first natural reaction to look at is the player. And there's a lot of moving parts around this thing, and we just want to make sure we get to the bottom of it for the sake of Martin, for the sake of our franchise, and for the sake of the league.
We used to see some things like this 15, 20 years ago for the Sioux City team. I can think of at least 2 times when things were thrown at them from fans, different places. That's why I'm not even saying one place or another place. Someone gets drunk, they think they're hilarious, and these guys are the targets.
Yeah, they can be, and this is like an already charged situation that just went the wrong direction. You talk about the old building a little bit here, and I got a good friend in St. Louis named Scotty Rupp, and he used to play for Des Moines in the 80s, and he told me a story of getting a penalty in the old Odd, and he said he darn near fell out of his chair because he went in the penalty box, which, if you'll remember at the time, was the entrance to the rink.
It's the hallway.
And there was a fan sitting there that gave him a hot dog and a beer during his penalty. So, yeah, I'd like to think we've come a long way since then.
I know, now we're into lighters instead.
Right.
Yeah, now we're in the you guys met with the league, and officially, what can you say right now?
It's still ongoing. It's just we just want to make sure that that all the stakeholders in this thing are considered. We want to make sure that the league is smart, because you can't. The one thing you can't do is you can't hold one person 100% accountable for an incident that has a lot of parties to it. And at the end of it, we know the league will end up doing the right thing, just because, as a franchise, we always hold ourselves to a high standard, and I know the league recognizes that.
Well, there's a picture for the league, and it needs to be a good one. And so, anyways, so that'll go ongoing until we find out.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I sense an exclusive.
You know my cell phone number, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Just throw me. I remember I got another exclusive one time.
But at the end of the day, our organization is going to stand up for our player.
Yeah.
That's just what we are. We're kind of a pirate ship, and that once you're on it, you're on it.
Oh, you know what? There's really good individuals on this team, including Martin Pospisil.
Yep.
It's a big-time kid.
You know, the guy has everyone's back.
No doubt about it.
I mean,
he's our kind of guy.
Yes, and no matter what.
Yep.
That's that side.
Sure.
We'll find out more.
If you haven't been punched in the face or if you haven't been in jail, one of the two, you probably don't get on the team. So
You don't have a spot on the ship unless you've really done something.
This is a pirate ship.
That's right.
break it down, that's the breakdown. So that's how it goes.
That's the part we'll find out more and more about.
Right.
I want to switch gears real quick because Saturday night was law enforcement appreciation, first responders, fire department. I mean, the whole genre of first responders, where if it was a first responder, some kind of ID or badge or whatever, you got 2 free tickets to the game, which is awesome. But the honoring of them, including the bagpipes.
Fantastic.
By the way, bagpipes guy, I know another guy's taking lessons now from the police department. You do too.
Yep.
He wants to do this. Way cool with the whole ceremony, the monster flag, the vehicles out there, the lights are flashing. The kids are loving it. I mean, they come out there, you got flashing lights. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
I think for our players, it was. It just made it real. I mean, you get officers in uniform, from the fire department through the police force through, hospital rescue. It was perfect, and I think the sense of community came right out on the rink.
A lot of people talked about that, and they were very impressed. So that's a congratulations to the organization. If I asked Jake, he had all these mistakes,
right
apparently.
Here,
he had all these mistakes, apparently. I didn't see any of them, though.
Right. Well, I think Jake looks at it as a perfectionist, and, we all thought it was great. And
then
of course,
you follow it up with Bab's father, who's a longtime police officer in out east and former SWAT member, and for him to drop the game puck with his son did not know he was coming. So a special moment for a family.
It's kind of interesting. Boy, that kind of shows you character of these players because their parents are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
right.
The scary part is Bab's father is taller than Babs. He was on barefoot, and Babs is on skates, so still some growing for Babs to do.
That's all right.
He'll get there.
He's a monster.
But no, altogether, that was a very solid finish. I know we'll look at points and everything else in between, but I thought that was pretty cool. Those are little things that take a lot of effort that we kind of take for granted, and I love the idea. And we'll just say, I think I got the consensus, do that every year.
Right. The feedback's been amazing.
And I don't know how you play that darn thing, but holy smokes. That takes the bagpipes.
Unbelievable. And the fact that, I don't know.
God bless America goes through.
It was special.
I'm a bagpipe guy myself. I know. Totally.
He's a total kilt guy.
I'm a kilt guy. No doubt about it. Authentic, too. Authentic.
I don't even want to go further than that statement there, Lloyd, but
I'm not touching that.
Right.
I'm a little limited for words is the way it goes.
All right. On that note, I will take a break. We didn't have trivia tonight, so we'll just take caller number 6 right now, 224-62. You can be dumb and win trivia. Well, okay, 224-6200. Caller number 6, $10 right here at Bob Rose North End Zone or Point After, your choice. We'll take this break. We'll be back. Fox Sports Radio, 620 KMNS. This is the Musketeer Coaches Show. I'll tell you at another break there, Lloyd.
That's great.
Someone turn the heat up in this place?
Right.
The heat is on.
There is no doubt about it.
It's going to be on Friday. I can promise you that.
That's for sure.
It'll be an interesting one. If we look at those games, it was a physicality game. It turned into a physical game.
Yeah. Friday, You're seeing Friday. So great start to what it was. Obviously, the motorcycle gang put their act back in gear, and they did a great job with us. And Marcus scores a big goal. And at that point, early in the hockey game, I think it's we're playing mindful. We are on top of things, and we cracked our egg here. We lost some discipline about what we need to do.
Yes, my other side of the coin, it's just my personal vision of it. You should have 2 power plays in the third period against 0 power plays on the other side, is just the way I read it. The way it was called.
Yeah.
Just my question mark is Aaron Grounds.
You know, it's amateur players, amateur refs.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to deal with that.
Yeah. Double minor on Aaron Grounds, though, was kind of an interesting one.
I think when you wrestle 2 different players in a stoppage that you get attacked by, you get penalties for wrestling each of those players, and they don't. So it is what it is, and when we as a group and me as a coach and us as a staff have to just expect to stay inside the bounds of what is going to happen. And you know, we talked about it on Saturday. I thought we did a great job with it against Chicago with knowing, like, hey, this has got to stop. Inside the whistles are great. Let's play as hard as can be, aggravating as can be, pesty as can be, but outside the whistle, like, why let ourselves put ourselves in the hands of someone else that, frankly, we don't want to put our life in their hands.
You look at those 2 games, which were kind of interesting, the fact you got out to a lead or really came out on fire. You know, like 3 months ago, how many times?
It's the opposite way?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess consistent, you know, push up. And for Chicago, that matter. One thing about that team, it takes one good, awesome play, they score a goal. Mm-hmm. You know, you could hem them in all game, and then they get one chance.
Chicago's a talented team. They're not very forgiving to play against. So if you put yourself behind that 8 ball, I think, and allow those situations to have with time and space, they do. They make tons of plays. I thought at the beginning of the Chicago game, they had no space to make plays. We suffocated them and turned actually those turnovers into offense for ourselves and scored. And you know, and then you put yourself in a bad spot by giving up mental issues that are totally not acceptable, and the score says that play's not needed.
How do you just have to put it together, this team?
Yeah, we got to put some things together. We got to put our team together, actually.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. But you know, but you look at, okay, let's say a couple months ago you're winning games, but a couple months ago it didn't take as much to win games.
For sure, on both sides of the puck. I think defensively, I think we had more stops. I think we probably gave up a little bit less, but we were timely. We scored more. We scored more often. I think we found, because of the comfortability of the lineup up and down, there was no panic point about if you went behind, you're like, look at those 2 lines. They've been scoring every single game right now, or that group of. So, you know, we've got to get to that point. But at the same time, as like I'll say it, as a staff and as players, like, we've got a job to do to make sure when we put ourselves in winning moments and key moments of hockey games that you're on the right side of the puck.
Well, you said you got to put together a team. Okay, here we go. Playing or non-playing? Aaron Grounds, how is his situation? Were we looking at a time frame?
Well, he has not skated yet, so my guess.
Same injury he had before?
Yeah, a little bit more aggravation, a little bit, but at the same time, he might be further along in some regard because I think he's used to what it was. So that's a little less shock maybe to the system on him. I think he'll climb on the ice this weekend, not in a game, but when we get back and practice on Sunday, put the group back together for the following week, I think he'll participate in some manner. I don't think he'll be full speed yet, though.
Yeah. I thought Williami played in there really nicely, but it's nothing like the motorcycle line.
Motorcycle line, like, those guys have been killers about what they've done. And
I do want to correct you. You did say motorcycle earlier. Motorcycle gang.
That
Wisconsin thing?
Yeah, maybe the motorcycles, because they are kind of sick, actually. But,
right.
Their celebration
is where Harley
is. And, you know, the funny part is, one son, when Lambeau scores on Saturday, he came up with a different, because the whole motorcycle gang wasn't together. Now he's got this Congo thing he hits the side of his head like a caveman.
Is there you know, there's always a language barrier with foreign players. Nielsen is working on this motorcycle thing, it seems like, but he's just not quite there.
I don't know if he's got many.
He doesn't have a lot of emotions that way.
Wheelie riding, accelerating, handle grip motion going on. But
I think we need to take him by the Harley dealership in town. That might be.
Right. We'll get Rooster to give him for a squeal around the parking lot with it, because
you'd understand that after that.
Learn in a hurry.
Or just introduce him to Rooster. You'd understand right away. So.
There you go. Oh yeah. But speaking of Elman, he's played some of his best games.
It's been fantastic. You know, even today in practice, you can just his confidence around the puck, at the puck, is definitely growing. I think the idea that that group has just played key. They play key situations for us. I mean, none of them were on the power play, so you get a fresh start. You get a fresh group after a power play, after a penalty kill. And they've really been momentum grabbing, line change. Like when they've gone out there after those moments, they've done a great job with it. So those have been big. They scored timely goals. They played physical. I mean, that's where I think you missed Groundsy on that group, because his physicality was for sure, receptive of what was going on. So, but there's some shuffling around as far as getting some guys in and out. And so Groundsy's out right now.
Groundsy out right now. We'll hear more about Martin Pospisil. You should have tuned in earlier.
He'll be out.
That.
I mean, he's
going to be out.
He'll be a suspension of some sort, and matter of time to be determined.
Okay, so let's go over to Dominic Vidoli.
Vids actually flew home today to see a specialist, so he's back to a little hip issue, and he trains with the Hurricanes in the summertime with his folks being from Carolina. So he went back to go see docs. I think they had done a surgery on him in the past, just to follow up, and obviously, his presence is missed because you're already without Johnson. Then you've got Vids that has carried the mail in a lot of ways in Johnson's absence when he's been healthy to do so.
Yeah, it was a factor as soon as he was off the ice. I mean, it just
for sure does. I mean,
because you put this guy here, this guy here, this guy. We've talked about it for months now.
Yeah, then you put a guy on his offside and the slot in the wrong slot. So those parts, Vids, that hurts for sure.
Jake Flynn.
Jaker's on we activated him. He's an Eastern player. We're going to try to get him out here. He's got some schedule conflicts, and as the deadline approaches, it's player for player movement. So we just got to. It's more of a roster management move than it is intent to get on the ice.
Talk about him a little bit. What does he show?
There's a good skating left shot D that plays out East Prep School. He's got some puck poise about him. A little bit 6'1" kid that. Unfortunately for us, we didn't get him out here this past summer. Just one of those situations in his schedule, our schedule. So, the future is here. The difference is we might have some depth at that position where that position becomes available.
So that's where we're looking at the positions, right? Or am I missing anyone else who got hurt since then?
Baker's out.
Okay, well, Baker, but we were going to wait on him for a while.
Yeah.
And obviously Johnson's closer, though, right?
Sure. He was skating wearing red, which is red is no good. That means it's Ked's lounge color. So,
totally.
He's made progress. Trust me, there's no one that feels more urgency to want to get back and play and put on the C and be the Superman guy for the team that he is. But at the same time, his injury is a reoccurrence injury that you can't force the issue on. So when time says yes, and it's not this weekend. I can pretty much promise that part.
I think when I was chatting with him, he sat next to him and Baker did some stat stuff.
Yeah.
And so they were saying we're hoping for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's probably even a stretch next week, personally, with Johnson. The only reason maybe he's closer than further a week from now, but you just can't let a tweak set that thing back to where it started, because then before you know it, you run out of time. All
right, so we only got a couple minutes left. We know about Omaha. We know about that team for Friday. How about Thursday? And I think most of the players on Lincoln, but they were on it with a different jersey.
Yeah, they've made their changes. Obviously, they made some deadline moves and some things of that nature that have put them in a light. But Chupper's got them playing very hard. I think they probably have the black and blue group a little bit. Like, hey, I got traded here. I wasn't wanted somewhere else. I can do what I can and put this thing together for you in this short time span. So for us, it'll be homecoming for Caber, and hopefully get him some momentum and some points, and have him be on the other side of the fence there of the with Lincoln Stars.
That means Boleyn's probably going to start, right?
And Bo will start, and Bo's done a good job. I just talked to Chopper today about some things there that so he's just been Bo's a good kid.
I was just counting 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 10 listed right here on their active roster that started somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean it's.
But that's what happens when
year transition. I mean,
yes.
they did some things a year ago to put them in that spot. So, now they'll work hard. They're going to be. It's their building. It's hard building. Thursday night they always get a good crowd there on a Thursday. So, we have to go take care of ourselves and really manage our own selves, our own game. Some guys got to manage their minutes better. We've got to be better about those key moments to have fresh bodies.
Mm-hmm. That is going to be a key. Is got to get on that point train right now. And 2 hardworking teams, Thursday and Friday. 2
hardworking teams, and obviously with familiarity with Omaha, we'll be right back to it. And I can promise you, Poss will not be involved in that game. So.
We'll see if the fans are involved.
No.
Yeah, they might be. It's just a good decision for us. It's obviously not an ideal environment there. So from our perspective, as much as we don't want to do it, we're going to keep Poss home on Friday. And just because we don't need to.
I would hate to have a fan throw another lighter at someone and start something.
We just don't need to put them in an environment where we don't know
what's going to happen.
What's a reasonable expectation, and it's probably just smart for him.
Perfect. That's going to do it for the Musketeer Coaches Show. Next week, Tuesday, by the way, is home game. Tuesday, home game.
Check.
Got to make sure about these.
Fargo. Home
Fargo.
Game.
There you go. All right, that's going to do it. Basketball coming up next right here on Fox Sports Radio 620, Camas, Sioux City.